please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
1,324 crore rupees. Abhishek joins us early this morning to run us through all the details of that announcement that came late last night. Abhishek.
Well, Nigel, as you informed, PNB actually made a press release to the exchanges late last night informing that the unauthorized transactions have increased by $204.25 million, or to put it in simple words, more than 1,300 crores in rupee terms. So the total fraudulent activity or unauthorized transaction that PNB has noticed now increases to 1,976 million US dollars, or let's say about 12,700 odd crores. So this forms about 26% of their net worth as against 23.3% of the net worth. Now the net worth that I am talking about is of Q3 FY18. You need to add about 5,500 crores that they'll receive from government. Even then, this stressed assets on the balance sheet looks on the higher side. They have also informed the exchanges that, they have not received any communication from the government with respect to the payment of this liability. Back to you.
Okay, so a bit more red as far as PNB is concerned for today. And in fact, just yesterday evening, the other important development that took place in the case, the ED questioned the Executive Director of Finance of Punjab National Bank and has summoned the MD and CEO Sunil Mehta to be present for questioning. Remember, both of them were questioned by the CBI in this case over the weekend.
All right then, and the government is gearing to introduce a new law, the Fugitive Economic Offenders Bill. That's in a bid to checkmate absconding corporate defaulters. The Law Ministry had already approved the draft bill in September last year, but now Money Control learns that in the wake of the scam at the PNB involving Nirav Modi, the government does not want to waste more time and wants to introduce it in the second leg of the budget session itself.
And according to the draft bill, a fugitive economic offender is an individual who has an arrest warrant issued against him for a scheduled offence and who leaves or has left India so as to avoid criminal prosecution or refuses to return to India to face criminal prosecution. The draft bill includes a provision to settle the absconding defaulters' dues through attachment and disposal of their properties in cases where the defaulting amount exceeds 100 crore rupees. Now, we spoke to corporate lawyer H.P. Ranina and Abhisar Devanji of EY. Take a look of what they make of this draft bill.
I think it's a very significant development, because to confiscate assets without a conviction goes against the basic principle of law. But now the Parliament wants to pass such a law and overrule the general legal provision where a man is considered to be innocent until he is proved to be guilty, will require this particular legislation. So I think it's a very substantial piece of legislation, perhaps only one in the world, where this type of provision is sought to be made. But then I suppose India has its own, special people who need to be dealt with accordingly.
But frankly, we need to have some very strong evidence to prove that they have actually circumvented the system. The reason is, otherwise the nation as a whole stands to lose a lot of credibility. Because this is actually an exposure to people who are not going to be in India. So the law is actually extraterritorial in that sense. And will expose our own credence. So I think there's a self-balancing check in here that we should not be able to issue it against anybody who's a willful defaulter and who's run away from the country. So ideally, my view is that we will have to have the right kind of checks to be able to make sure that we can prove their guiltiness.
Well, the Mobile World Congress, the annual exhibition of new smartphones and mobile technology, began yesterday in Barcelona. From the sidelines of the mega event, CNBC TV18's Megha Vishwanath caught up with Mr. Thakur, the president of Reliance Jio, to know about Jio's plan for the 5G upgrade.
So we are planning to basically do 99.9% coverage, as I said. We are planning to basically expand the relationship by adding significant amount of base stations across the country, both macro base stations as well as small cells, to make sure that we can really cover the Indian entity and make sure the Indian consumer really gets the benefit of that.
All right. So when you say that 99% would be covered, we've not essentially got any timelines as to by when. Also, the numbers that were quoted today is that as of now, Jio has about an 86 or an 87% coverage. You want to push that to 99? By when can we expect that?
I believe this will happen in the time to come, but I would say maximum of 12 months, basically, we should be there.
Okay, so speaking of the infrastructure, the architecture, that was said that is the first or the main challenge. What is the next challenge for Jio? You're already at 86%. You've gotten into the hardware space as well. Now you want to push that coverage to 99%. What was the next set of challenges be for you?
To make sure that we can give people a very good capacity of the network, So one is coverage, second is capacity, and third is consumer experience across. So we are expanding all our CDN networks also across the country and being ready for 5G as and when it happens.
So, sir, that essentially brings me to the main point. Coverage is something that you are focusing on and you're very bullish on. Speaking of the experience and speaking of the capacity, personally, just to understand, where does that fall in terms of priority? As it has been said, many reports have suggested that 4G speeds in India are not at par as the speeds that are there around the world. Number one. Number two, even though that there are coverage in terms of the cities, the experiences, no call drops or no, network jams, that is continuing on Jio. By when would the company move from just focusing on the coverage part and focus on the experience? Or is that even on the priority list as of now?
Consumer experience is paramount. So I just gave you an example that basically we had this South Africa-India match basically in Saturday, and we had more than 20 million people who consumed the network, and basically 7 to 8 million people were doing concurrent usage. Now, if that is not experience, then why would people continue to strive on this? People would have watched it on the TV, right?
But so these are first-time users. I'm talking about people who are probably upgraded or have seen these generation of a 2G to a 3G to now 4G. So essentially, where do those kind of users fall in your priority list? Would we start getting a better user experience on Jio? And if not now, then when?
No, I sincerely believe that as a company, we are extremely focused on consumer experience. It's just not giving coverage and capacity. We are really focused, and I can guarantee you that consumer experience is paramount.
Well, shifting focus to national news, the high decibel campaign for assembly elections in Meghalaya as well as Nagaland came to an end on Sunday. The voting in the two states of Northeast begins today. The election is being held for 60 seats each in both of these states. All eyes will be on the BJP as it is aggressively looking to expand its footprint in the Northeast, especially after forming governments in Assam, Manipur as well as Arunachal Pradesh. In Meghalaya, the party is directly challenging the Congress, which retained power in 2013 elections, whereas in Nagaland, the battle is between the ruling Naga People's Front and an alliance comprising the newly formed Nationalist Democratic Progressive Party and the BJP. Check on the Asian markets. Remember, the start was in the positive territory, but the Shanghai market that had a bit of a rally in yesterday's trading session, that's giving back some of that. So it's down close to around 0.5%. And that's virtually the only index that's trading in the red from the Asian market basket, because the Nikkei is up close to around 300 points. Good gains being seen over there. The Hang Seng is holding with a gain of around 0.5%. And when we started the show, we were looking at the Kospi. That as well was holding with a gain of around 0.5%. We're waiting to hear from the central bank in South Korea as well. So we'll keep an eye out on that front. The other couple of markets as well, the Straits as well as the Taiwanese index, they've come off a tad bit from the day's high, but still holding well in the green. And that would mean that the SJX Nifty will be building on the gains that we have seen in the last couple of trading sessions. The Nifty has gained 190 points in the last two sessions, maybe 45 points there for the taking just to kickstart trade. But I think we can go across to Manisha Gupta. She joins in early this morning to tell us what's going on in the commodity space. Hey Manisha, good morning.
Hey, morning, and thanks for that. Well, we have started yet another day on a positive note in the Asian market, starting with the crude oil prices, and we are trading at a 3-week highs now. So we are building up on the kind of gains that we saw yesterday. There has been positive statements from the producers. The compliance on agreement cut from OPEC and non-OPEC has been strong. And the U.S. output also seems to have been peaking, at least for the near term, and that is taking the prices on the higher side. The most important event to watch out for today, of course, would be the U.S. Fed new chairman testifying in front of Senate. His ideas, his outlook on interest rates going forward for this year and next year will decide the course for not just the currency markets, for many other asset classes as well. So that is what commodities would watch out for. Ahead of that, you have seen the metals gain up. So whether it's the precious metal prices, gold and silver, which are trading in positive, or the industrial metals, which saw strong gains yesterday, are seeing some follow-through buying today as well. So you are looking at steel and the iron ore prices trading in the positive, and it is near multi-month highs for many of those metals as well. The China import of copper, nickel and zinc has been quite strong month-on-month basis. So these three metals are doing exceptionally well in the trade today as well.
Okay, Manisha, thank you so much for that. But now let's shift focus to the derivative space, where Mangalam joins us to tell us how the cues are lined up for the F&O space today. Mangalam, how does the cue look?
Well, tell you what, Anisha, over the last two sessions, the Nifty has gained about 190 points. The Nifty futures has gained about 200 points plus. And keep an eye out on the fact that the Nifty March futures yesterday conquered the 10,600 mark, closed right there. So that is something we'll watch out for. The Nifty futures premium, which was very low at the start of this series, then moved on to 13 points, has now moved closer to that 18 points, indicating that yes, there was some purchase. And purchase there was 1,000 crore worth purchase by the FIIs in index futures. So what does that mean? Well, they added close to 13,000 longs, and in doing so, they've turned from net sellers to net buyers in index futures. So their exposure, long exposure, now stands at 51%. That compares to 47% yesterday. And remember, at the start of the series, they were 51% short. Now they are 51% long. However, that said, they also bought a lot of downside protection. So the FIIs, they added close to around 1,400 crores in index options. Most of that was purchased in index puts. Close to around 17,000 long puts were added. And one stock I'll be watching out for is Orient Bank. After falling 11% yesterday, it has entered F&O ban. The active options, well, there was writing seen on the 10,500 put as well as the 10,600 put. So maybe bulls believe that these are marks one can defend. The bears were a little jittery. The 10,500 call, which saw a lot of writing on Friday, saw some bit of unwinding yesterday with about 4.5 lakh shares being shed out there.
Okay, all right, Mangalam, thanks so much for that. Well, let's move on to our bullseye corner then. And our contestants this week is Gaurav Ratnaparki. We have Jay Thakkar as well as Shaina Mukaddam. They are battling it out for the strongest portfolios. So let's hear out what they picked for today.
I have a buy call on Bajaj Electricals. Stop loss 515 and target 552. Next one is a buy call on Dr. Reddy's Lab. Stop loss 2142 and target on the upside will be 2283. The third one is J&K Bank on the buy side. Stop loss 66 with target at 70.60. The last one is also on the long side, and that is Century Ply. Stop loss 317 and target 339.30.
The first buy recommendation is on Wabag. One can buy Wabag for a target of 580 with a stop loss of 547. The second buy recommendation is on Uflex. One can buy Uflex for a target of 393 with a stop loss of 362. The third buy recommendation is on Century Ply. One can buy Century Ply for a target of 337 with a stop loss of 314.50. And the final buy recommendation is on Bajaj Electricals. One can buy Bajaj Electricals for a target of 555 with a stop loss of 515.
My first pick is Jain Irrigation. I buy it with a day target of 127 and a stop loss of 112. Second, India Cements. I buy it with a day target of 169 and a stop loss of 154. BEL. I buy it with a day target of 165 and a stop loss of 148. Last, Alembic. I buy it with a day target of 70 and a stop loss of 57.